January of 2020, I got fired from my job. My boss called a meeting to discuss our annual game plan, but when I hopped on Zoom with a smile on my face, I was greeted with nothing but a black box staring back at me, a faceless voice telling me he had someone from HR with him. I'd been at the company for 11 years, a vice president of sales for the last 6. And my boss fired me over a Zoom call without ever bothering to turn on his video. In my VP role at my now former company, I had a 24-hour complaining role. My coworkers had 24 hours to gripe about something, but then after that, they had to ask themselves, okay, now what? Now I'll admit, when I got fired, I didn't exactly follow my own rule. I complained for more than 24 hours, maybe a week. Okay, fine, 2. But then after that, I was faced with this same question. Okay, now what? I decided to hit pause and listen to my life. What was my life trying to tell me? I sought out advice on how to move forward with my now drastically upended life, and a close friend asked me a very interesting question. What would I write on my own tombstone? Poignant? Yes. Morbid? A little. But it got me thinking. Up until that point, I defined myself by 2 things: being a single mother and a vice president of sales. Now, being a mother is one of my greatest accomplishments and something I would be proud to put on my tombstone. But being a VP of sales? Not so much. I wanted my legacy to reflect my character, not my career. I deserved more. We all deserve more. But when I hit pause and I listened to my life, tried to find something inspiring about it, I came up blank. So I started asking myself some more tougher questions. What excites me? What am I passionate about? What would I do for a career if money was not a consideration? After some deep inner reflecting, I came to a very stark realization. I couldn't answer these questions. Why not? I was boring. I know, it may sound a little harsh, but it was 100% true. I had no interests, no hobbies, no social life. Simply put, I had no idea who I was. This stark realization, though, unlocked something inside of me. For as long as I could remember, I had prioritized work over myself. Maybe some of you can relate. Think about the term we use today: work-life balance. Even in that well-intended phrase, what comes first? Work. But why? According to a 2023 study, a staggering 66% of US workers miss 1 meal a day because they're working. Guilty. I've worked through lunch plenty of time. Now, because I got fired, I didn't have a say in what caused me to hit pause and do all this deep inner reflecting, but I did have a say in what I was going to do next. I could have gone the comfortable route, gotten another sales job, just continued to be boring. Or I could take this newfound realization and I could put it into some action, and I could adopt a mindset of life-work balance instead of one of work-life. For once, I chose to put my life first by prioritizing my happiness. So I went back to those tough questions I had asked myself after I got fired, and I looked at my life through a different lens. And I realized that if I could play with fabric and wallpaper all day, that would excite me. I got fired from my VP job at a tech company in January of 2020. Today, I am the founder and principal designer of my own interior design firm. How did I get here? By listening to my life. My inner voice told me that I needed a full renovation of my beliefs, habits, and the way my day-to-day life was structured. I needed to become the interior designer of my own life. And you can too. Let me show you how. There are 4 key stages when building a house. First, you have your foundation, then your framing, then your finished work, and lastly, your design. These same 4 house building stages mirror the steps that you can take to achieve a more balanced life. The first and most critical step to achieving life-work balance is to do a thorough inspection of your life's foundation. If your foundation is unstable, then everything that comes after that, the framing, the finished work, and the design, are all for naught. Nothing of substance can be built on a foundation that's faulty. Now, this is the self-identifying stage where you're going to have to take a deep look at your life. When I got fired from my job, I was at a crossroads. You might be at one of those too. It's important when you're at an impasse to ask yourself the difficult questions about your life and your happiness. But what's even more important is to be brutally honest and vulnerable with your answers. Remember, I had to admit I was boring. Now, making a career change at any age is daunting. Doing so at 50, even more so. In fact, according to a 2023 study, 80% of the people over the age of 45 consider making a career shift, yet only 6% of them actually pursue it. Now, you might be thoroughly happy and satisfied in your career journey. That's great. But there are other areas of your life that may need a little bit of inspecting. If you're happy with your career, maybe you're unhappy or unsatisfied with some of the relationships in your life. Do they help you be the best version of yourself? Do you evolve and grow as a result of the people around you? Or maybe you're unhappy with your mental or physical health. How do you feel in your day-to-day life? Do you have inner peace? Are you taking good care of your body? For me, my career was causing the cracks in my life's foundation, but at least I had identified what needed to be fixed, and I saw that becoming an entrepreneur was the repair that I needed. Okay, now what? It's time to engineer the framing that will support your structure. When building a house, this is literally what holds the building up: the walls, the beams, and the pipes. When building the life that you want, this is what will support you: your knowledge, skill set, supportive relationships, diet, sleep, exercise routine. I had a goal of becoming an interior designer. That meant for me in the framing stage, I hired a coach to help me build a business plan. I went back to school to get 2 different degrees over the course of 11 months. Doing so gave me the knowledge and the skill set that I needed for my supportive framing so that I could pursue my dream. Now, I'm not suggesting that you run out, quit your job, dive headfirst into a new career. But if you're thinking about making a change, take some courses in a field that interests you. If you're thinking about making a health change, maybe hire a personal trainer, enroll in some Pilates classes before you invest in a home gym. Simply put, dip your toe in a little to get the knowledge and the skill set that you need for your supportive framing for when you are ready to take that leap. Okay, now what? It's time to evaluate your finished work and adapt. This is when things start to get really exciting and you start to see tangible evidence of all your hard work. When building a house, this is when the tile, flooring, and lighting start to get installed. While there is lots of positivity at this stage, there also might need to be some changes that might need to be made. It's important to remain flexible. Things don't always look the way you might have originally envisioned. You might realize in this stage that meditation it just isn't for you. Or your morning routine might need to be adjusted. That's okay. One of the keys to maintaining a mindset of life-work balance is to remind yourself to not expect perfection. For me, when I was in the finish work phase, this is when my business was becoming visible to the outside world. It was so exciting. I was designing logos and building websites and starting to have a social media presence. But as I worked to evolve my target audience, that also meant that I changed my company logo 3 times in 1 year. I was far from perfect at this entrepreneur thing. So you have a foundation that's stable. You've engineered the framing to support yourself. You've evaluated your finished work, and you've adapted as necessary. Okay, now what? It's time to add some sofas, pillows, and rugs and grow into the design of your life and how it will look from here on out. Similar to needing to have some rules to preserve a beautiful house like this that you just built, such as no shoes on the rug and no food upstairs, you need to have boundaries in order to preserve a mindset of life-work balance. Show of hands, how many people wake up in the morning, roll over, grab your phone, and immediately start scrolling through your work emails? It's so hard to resist. And even though I now love my career, I have to work every day to set boundaries to ensure that my life, health, relationships remain a priority. For me, I do it through time blocking. I set aside time to exercise, have dinners with my daughter, journal, read. For me, that ensures that my personal wellness gets the non-negotiable time that it deserves. For you in the design phase, it may look different. It may mean you get up in the morning, you go for a workout class, and then you check your work emails. Or maybe it means you take a break in the middle of the day. You go for a walk, you call a friend to catch up. Regardless, one of the keys to maintaining a mindset of life-work balance is that it requires being intentional. Putting life first is an ongoing process. Let me give you a real-life example. Several months ago, I was stressed and anxious. I double-booked myself for an evening. I'd been invited to an art gallery opening where I was going to be introduced to a woman who was going to help me gain awareness of my newly published book. I also had dinner plans with a close friend that I hadn't seen in a long time. Recognizing that I felt stressed and uneasy about the situation, I decided to hit pause and listen to my life. What was my life trying to tell me? Had I been faced with this dilemma 5 years prior, I would have just spent all day long worrying about the logistics. Leaving work, racing across town to the gallery event, checking my watch, of course, the entire time I was there, running back across town to have dinner with my girlfriend, all the while being stressed about how I was going to find the time to get home to feed these guys. But since I'd done all this interior design work on myself, I was able to recognize that being stressed and anxious about this situation, it just didn't align with my mindset of life-work balance. So I chose my life, and I passed on the gallery event. I have no idea what could have come from that potential new work connection. But what I do know is with a mindset of life-work balance, I choose my choices, and my life is so much better for it. When thinking today about what I would write on my own tombstone, I'm proud to say that I no longer feel boring. I've gone from being someone who has nothing to talk about to someone with an empowering story to tell. More importantly, I wouldn't just write mother on my tombstone anymore. For me, that's no longer enough. I want to be an inspirational mother, one who leads by example, one who gives my daughter the tools that she needs to become the interior designer of her own life, too. I know none of this sounds easy. Being the designer of my own life is a process that I am entrenched in every single day. But no matter where you are in the journey of your life, if you approach your life like the stages of building a house, foundation, framing, finish work, and design, you too can achieve life, work, balance. You can start today by hitting pause, listening to your life, and designing what matters most to you. Thank you.